Nintendo made a deliberate decision to make F-Zero X look worse than it could have. The team, led by key programmers from Wave Race 64, set an absolute requirement that the game run at 60 frames per second with 30 vehicles on screen simultaneously. That number was non-negotiable. To hit it, polygon counts on every vehicle were cut, texture detail across every track was stripped back, and background environments were kept intentionally sparse. Critics noticed immediately and called it by far the least visually impressive first-party Nintendo 64 release. The team's position was that speed was the game and everything else was secondary. They were right. F-Zero X launched in Japan in July 1998 as the first racing game in history to sustain 60 frames per second with a full field of 30 competitors on screen at once. Speeds in the game exceeded 1,000 kilometers per hour, making it by some measurements the fastest racing game ever made for a home system. The game was originally called F-Zero 64 until late in development, and the North American release was delayed 3 months purely because of Nintendo of America's internal policy of spacing first-party releases evenly across the calendar. A random track generator called the X Cup was included, producing a different set of courses every time it was played, giving the game a theoretically infinite supply of new content. The cartridge was also built with hardware hooks for the Nintendo 64 disk drive add-on, a peripheral that sold around 15,000 units in Japan before being abandoned. The only expansion disc that ever used those hooks was F-Zero X's own add-on, released in 2000. It added 12 new tracks and a course editor that was virtually the same internal tool the development team had used to build the original circuits. That expansion never left Japan. Miyamoto later said publicly that he was surprised people still wanted a new F-Zero game because he felt the series had little left to evolve. The series went dormant after F-Zero GX on GameCube in 2003 and has not had a new mainline entry since.